Isopanishad, то есть верховная личности Бога, главная.
Hello dear friends, so we continue to read Ishapanishad, Mantra
Сегодня мантра
15.
15 мы продолжаем. Мы
We
заметили
have
с вами,
noticed
насколько емкий смысл в этих
how
шлоках
huge
или
the
сутрах,
volume of these mantras
мантрах.
is.
Мантра — это
Mantra means
очищение ума.
purification of the mind.
Тра — это означает
Tra means to liberate
или
or to
переправлять,
transmit
например, на
to the
другой
other side.
берег.
For example, trayate,
Тра — это
transformation.
трансформация. То есть вот, например,
The
находится
mind
ум
is
в определенном состоянии, и очень
in a
трудно
certain
его вывести
state
из этого
and it's hard
состояния.
to
Человек идет обычно,
push it
общается
to
с кем-то,
another
он делится, он жалуется,
level.
если ему трудно.
The mind is
Ему
heavy
тяжелые
and some
впечатления, какие-то
you
события
had
повлияли
some
через ум, теперь он страдает.
happenings influenced you,
Он не может
and
понять
now
или забыть
you
как-то.
keep on thinking about it,
И
you
главным
can't
образом
forget it.
это причина этих страданий, это
And the
тяжесть,
reason
это
of this suffering
невежество,
is
непонимание,
ignorance.
почему так происходит. Почему обычно люди думают, я же делаю
When
все
people don't
правильно,
know
хотя бы стараюсь
why
делать
it's
правильно.
going on like this,
Почему вот
it
жизнь
seems
так?
like
Другие
I'm
делают то
doing
же самое, у них всё
everything the
нормально.
right way, but I
Не
have
может
these
разобраться в
miseries
этом.
coming my way.
И вот мантра,
So
это,
mantra
получается,
means
должен
you
обрести
need to get
знание более
the
высокое.
knowledge of
И
some
как только он
higher level.
получает это знание, оно проникает в ум, он освобождается от проблем.
As soon as it reaches
Вопрос
your
только в том,
intelligence,
как
your mind,
принять это глубоко,
on a deeper level,
принять это знание, потому что оно может быть и
you get it
непонятным.
fixed. But the
В
problem is
состоянии скорби, несчастья,
when you're upset
обиды на кого-то,
or angry with someone
в состоянии
or
сильной
very
жадности
lusty,
или похоти. Там
it
эти
seems
мантры,
like
они
these mantras
кажутся, не
doesn't
имеют
work
такого уж смысла большого.
and
Кому
it
не нужны
doesn't
эти мантры ваши? Люди скажут.
make
Читайте
any
Ишапанишад, но это вообще не наша какая-то культура
impact
или
on you.
сложная философия.
It seems like
Значит,
the
ум не
mind
принимает, он
is
остается в своей
rejecting
среде и там пытается в этой
and
среде
prefers to
разобраться.
keep its
Что
atmosphere.
происходит дальше с умом?
But
Если он
if it
поддается
gets
этим
some
впечатлениям,
imprints,
позитивным
positive
или
or
негативным,
negative,
то и другое,
accepts
поддается этим
this
впечатлениям,
duality.
принимает эту двойственность,
this is good,
это
this is bad,
хорошо,
this
это плохо,
one's
это плохой,
good,
это
that one's
хороший,
bad,
начинает
and
делить
it
мир
divides the world
на своих и чужих.
into the categories
А тут
friend
интересный
and
момент,
enemy.
образ жизни меняется.
Then we
Своих
have
людей я не
a
могу
thing
обманывать,
we
понятно,
have to deal
чужих
with.
могу.
These are my people. I
Появляется
cannot
возможность к таким
cheat on
действиям
them.
греховным.
But these are
Только деление в уме проявляется. Поэтому знание
strangers.
трансцендентное, оно соединяет эту двойственность.
But
Уже
this
нет друзей, врагов у тебя.
knowledge
в этом
is
мире.
telling you the
Тот, кто
one who
враждует с
is
тобой,
you,
тот твой враг, просто твоя
who
карма.
you fighting with is
Кто
not
дружит с тобой, он тебе
your
не друг,
enemy.
он
It's
временный.
just your
Тоже
karma.
твоя просто карма.
It's temporary. You can check
Если не веришь, проверь.
and
Можешь
prove
убедиться,
that
что очень
very
часто
often
в
in
жизни
your life
твои враги
your friends are
заключают с
not
тобой
your
союз.
friends and your enemies are
Твои
not
друзья
your
будут тебя
enemies.
обманывать и предавать. Это будет меняться. Тут нет
It's
вечности.
all temporary.
Меняется
Everything
в
can
одном
be
лице может
changed.
меняться образ человека.
Good and
И
bad.
плохой, и хороший одновременно.
So these
Итак, эти
mantras
мантры,
are
они
there
предназначены
for the
для очищения
purification
ума.
of your
Поэтому
mind.
мантра называется.
From this
С этой точки зрения
perspective,
любая ведическая
any
шлока,
shloka
она может относиться к этой
can
категории.
be referred
Бхагавад-гītā тоже.
to this
Тоже все эти там шлоки-то, мантры.
in Bhagavad-gītā or
Можем чувствовать,
any
когда
other
читаем,
book. When we
вчитываемся в
read
эти
them,
книги, нас
we feel
наступает
the liberation of the
освобождение ума.
mind.
Вот хотя бы на
For
какой-то
some
момент
time,
мы
we
чувствуем,
feel
что
there's
есть что-то
something
более высшее.
higher than me,
И не просто
and
есть, и я могу быть
more
к этому
than that,
причастен,
I
к
can
этому высшему,
relate to it,
просто соприкасаясь умом.
touching it with my mind.
умом. И
The
когда
deeper that
в
knowledge
ум
gets
войдет это
into your
знание,
mind,
мы увидим еще один феномен,
there's another phenomenon coming up.
необычный феномен.
People
Потому что
say,
люди говорят,
if there's
Бог
God,
есть,
why can't
почему
I
не видно
see or feel
или
Him?
не чувствуют.
And when
И вот
this
когда
knowledge gets
это
into
знание
your
входит в ум, вы
mind, you
можете
feel it. Because
Потому
the
что
mind
именно ум
controls your
управляет
feelings.
чувствами.
feelings on their own can't really feel. You can say they can feel, but they are unconscious. They are unconscious. It might be going on unnoticeable. Like while listening to this lecture, you don't feel your body, more or less, because your mind is pointed, focused into another direction. We feel what we hear. There are so many objects around to perceive, but we don't. So when your mind is attached to the God, you feel Him, the presence of Him, through these mantras. If we can touch and feel the Lord's hand right here, the concept is you can get the right description of the Lord and get it can be all in your mind. Usually they express it in the prayers and activity free of gain. You know that Supersoul, there's a Supersoul in my heart, and it is dealing with all me, my body, etc. So today's mantra is unusual. We've got a prayer more than a mantra. We went through 14 mantras already. We didn't study it, we just read it. But the mind is considered to be liberated by this time. Reading is good as well. It means you're thinking about it, you meditate on it, and you perceive it not as something strange, not as something unnatural. Your conditioned mind would always connect you with all these bodily concepts like I am Kazakh, I'm Russian, I'm American. And as a result, we forget that this is very important for every human being, every living being. And another sort of feelings are being awakened this way, unlimited by this temporary conditioning. It can go beyond. And this mantra is giving us a prayer and some feelings.
Hiranmayana patrina satyasyapihitam mukham tattvam pushanna pavrinu satya dharmaya drishtaya.
Drishtaya means for exhibiting, literally see, showing. Translation, O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives. Emotion. It was not happening in the previous mantras. It's a different state of feelings now. And the purport by Prabhupada is outstanding. Sometimes you can't really prove anything, but at the same time you can't say the opposite. By this time, all the purports of the acharyas, previous acharyas, no one could say anything against their purports, against their words, but they were simply forgotten. That's it. The proofs are there in your intelligence. You need to prove it to yourself. Try to start with yourself first, and then ensure someone else. If you have your conscious way, you'll be able to explain it to someone else. There would be only 5 minutes enough for pure intelligence to understand these topics. Prabhupada was saying, otherwise, hours and hours of explanations wouldn't do anything. Oh my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Hiranya means golden, and Maya is effulgence or covering. So it is being translated by a golden effulgence. Patrina, dazzling covering. Not darkness. We know that darkness can cover you, or the light also it can cover you. So if we get away from this darkness, we will get to light, and light covers. And that's another problem on a different level. We can deal with darkness more or less. We can study the books and we can start to see our life development. But what is there in the end? It shines so much that it blinds me. This effulgence is too bright. So one last shot I have is to pray. That's why it's Ishapanishad. It helps you to solve this problem. Other Upanishads wouldn't help you do it unless we reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We won't be satisfied. The controller of all the energies. Your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. This is a strong desire of the devotee to see the face of the Lord. And he asks, all the devotees, they are very much want to see the Lord's face. We went through a lot of courses and classes and lectures and stuff, bhakti shastras, etc., etc. And the devotee, he wants to see the Lord, but why? He wants to serve Him. That's the only reason. It's not a show. You're not putting up the show, or you'd like to get something from a shop and you say, hey, the light is too bright, can you make it, can you dim it a bit so I could see the price tag and stuff? No. We learn how to serve steadily, how to be engaged in the service, everlasting service. Then this word, the God, makes sense. It's an eternal relationship. There is a purport to this mantra. In the Bhagavad-gītā 14:27, the Lord explains His personal rays, brahma-jyotir, the dazzling effulgence of His personal form in this way. Amritasya vyayamya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya kantikasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal. And look, two terms are being used here: immortal, imperishable, and eternal, even three. It seems like it's the same, but we need to know that eternity is, there's a variety in eternity. it's not
большими
the
оттенками,
same.
чем материальные качества.
There are more shades
Между этими
and
понятиями
colors
очень
to
близкими,
it
кажется, это одно и то же.
than you can
Тавтология.
imagine.
Бессмертный, неуничтожимый. Разве не одно и то же?
It seems like
И вечный.
imperishable, eternal, and
Но тут три термина
immortal are the same, but
бессмертный,
all three of these
неуничтожимый
words are
и
given here,
вечный.
side
Речь
by
идет о
side,
личности, не о
and
предмете.
because we are talking not
Мы
about the
говорим о
object,
предмете,
not
какая
about
разница? Бессмертный,
something,
неуничтожимый,
we're talking
вечный.
about personality, a person.
Одно слово можно использовать, просто вечный и все.
We could have used
Когда мы о личности говорим,
only one word,
немножко иной аспект. Потому что именно люди не могут вообразить личность вечную.
people cannot
Энергия
imagine
вечная, они могут
an
понять.
eternal person.
Ученые легко это
They
понимают,
would
они
say
сказали,
it's okay
термин даже
to
нашли. Закон
imagine
сохранения
the
энергии.
energy that
Да,
is
никуда не денешься.
eternal, like the
Существует всегда,
scientists, they say.
вечно.
The energy, there's an
Но она
everlasting
принимает
flow
то
of
одну
the
форму, то
energy.
другую форму. Смотрите, она
But this energy
трансформируется.
transforms all the
Растение
time.
растет, потом съедается, вбрасывается
The
в окно и
grass
так далее.
grows and
Есть
it's
круговорот
being
вещей.
eaten, and
Энергия
then this
вечна.
energy
Все эти вещи
transforms
временные,
into
умирают,
something
появляются,
else,
говорит, нет,
and
бессмертное.
but
Вечное, но
they
еще
say it's
бессмертное.
eternal
Это личность,
and
личность речь.
immortal.
Потому что к личности этот термин применить
And
людям очень
it's
сложно.
hard to
Бессмертие.
it's hard to
Вечно.
apply this term to a
Личность
person.
постоянно меняется.
The
То возраст,
person
то настроение, то
is
болезнь, то
changing all the
погода,
time.
то
For
еще
us,
что-то.
it's like
Всегда мы испытываем внутри
the
постоянно
body is
секунды
changing,
перемены. Как же
the
описать эту
weather
личность вообще?
is changing,
На нее
everything
все влияет. Смотрите.
influences it.
В конце концов,
As a
когда она умирает,
result,
мы вообще
in
не
the
видим
end,
ничего. Где она?
It fades away,
Нет ее.
and it seems like
Ее, кажется, нет. Если нет тела, то и
it's
личности мы не
gone.
видим.
We don't see the
Поэтому
body,
мы озадачены здесь, сбиты с
so
толку по поводу
we
личности
are
Бога и личности
bewildered
души.
here on this.
Так, Кришна говорит, я основа безличного
Thinking
Брахмана,
about this
бессмертного,
soul.
неуничтожимого и вечного, который есть
I am the basis of the
средоточие
impersonal Brahman, which
высшего
is immortal,
изначального
imperishable,
блаженства.
and eternal, and is the
Брахман,
constitutional
Параматма,
position of ultimate happiness.
Бхагаван.
Brahman, Paramatma,
Это
and
три
Bhagavan are
аспекта
three
одной и той же
aspects of the
абсолютной
same
истины.
absolute truth.
Одна и та же. Начинающим
Brahman
легче
is the
постичь
aspect
Брахман.
most easily perceived
Параматма,
by the
сверхдуша,
beginner.
это аспект
Paramatma,
абсолютной
the
истины,
Supersoul,
доступный
is realized by
духовно
those who
развитым людям.
have further progressed.
Осознание Бхагавана
And
является
Bhagavan
высшей
realization is
степенью
the ultimate
постижения
realization
абсолютной
of
истины.
the absolute truth.
То есть
So the
начинающим
beginners,
несложно почувствовать
for
Брахман.
them, it's easy to feel the
Осмыслить.
Brahman, to realize
Такое
it.
чувство
It's
трудно.
Pretty easy.
Каждый может это делать.
Anyone
Любой
can do it.
человек. Когда вы
When
в
you are
уединении
alone,
находитесь, не в одиночестве.
not
Не
lonely,
значит, о ком-то вы думаете и страдаете.
but alone.
Это психическая
not
проблема.
When you have psychological problems
Что у
and
вас
you
ум в
suffer,
порядке.
that would mean
Если
your
вы попали в
mind is
состояние одиночества среди людей, живя среди людей в
sick.
таком большом мире.
living among
что у
people,
вас
you
ложное
still
эго
feel lonely, and it
негативное.
means your false ego
Уединение — это
is
другое. Это
limitless.
счастье.
But when you are
И
alone,
уединение, когда вы уединяетесь, так скажем, со стихиями природы, людей нравится это. видеть,
let's say
стихии
you're
природы,
witnessing
вот один на один.
the nature,
Даже
forces of
когда эти
nature,
стихии
even
неуравновешены,
when they are
можете почувствовать в них
unbalanced, you see the
могущество.
power, how powerful they are.
могущество и силу природы, которая
The nature
скрыта
is
во
so
всех этих
powerful.
вот явлениях, скрытая сила там находится. И в состоянии покоя
And
вы чувствуете
when you
скрытую
calm,
силу.
you feel
Это
this power. It's Brahman,
А
you
ощущаете
feel
эту
it as
силу
the
внутри себя, покой,
stillness inside.
глубокий покой чувствуете. И понимаете, что
You
что-то
feel
есть,
this
какая-то тайна в этом
deep
мире, что-то, нечто,
depth.
что-то скрытое. Это некое сознание
It's
Брахмана.
a state of Brahman,
Состояние
the
ума
state of mind.
определенное. Но
But Paramatma
Параматму так достичь труднее,
is harder to reach
потому что
this way because the
разнообразие сбивает
variety
с толку. Параматма — причина разнообразия.
bewilders
Сможем
you.
понять сразу
You
причину
can
разнообразия.
realize
Параматма — Бог.
the reason
или
for this
Paramatma.
variety.
Это Бог, один и тот же Бог.
Brahman and
Зачем
Paramatma
ему материальное
is the
разнообразие?
same God. Why does he need
Только когда вы понимаете свои
this
личные отношения с
variety?
Параматмой, локализованные аспекты,
Only when you
именно ваш
understand
Бог в
this
сердце Бога,
localized
начинаете
aspect
понять,
of
почему
God
вы
in your
такой,
heart,
и почему вы
Paramatma,
в таких
then you
обстоятельствах, в таком вот
understand
не
why
одинаковом положении все находятся.
people
Тогда вы
and
начинаете
you
понимать эту вещь.
are unequal in their
Когда
position.
изучаете свою деятельность, последствия
When
деятельности,
you
свою
realize
природу, тогда вы начинаете
the
понимать, что каждое живое
reasons
существо помещено в свои
behind
индивидуальные
your
обстоятельства
living
сверх
conditions,
душой, только сверх душой, никто
you
другой не может.
understand that you're being
Разнообразие
controlled by the
держать в
Supersoul.
едином,
Otherwise, this variety
в
cannot
жизненном
be
цикле гармонии.
synchronized.
Одновременно, вы понимаете, Брахман и
The
Параматма.
Brahman and Paramatma would be the one for you.
И все, что человек делает, он делает на самом деле
Whatever
от
a
Параматмы.
man does, he does it
Ничего другого.
representing Paramatma.
Эти
These
покрытия
coverings
также
as well
повинуются Параматме.
obey Paramatma.
Все гуны,
All the
все покрытия тьмы
gunas,
или
all the
ослепительного
material
света,
modes,
все регулируется Параматмой.
everything
Во
is
тьме,
being
значит, это
controlled by
тоже Параматма.
Paramatma. If you're in the
Её решение.
darkness, that's a
Она не
decision
тьма.
of Paramatma to keep you in the
Но
darkness.
я могу быть во тьме.
It's not the darkness, but I can be
Санкции
in the
Параматмы —
darkness.
это ее энергия. Тьма — это
The
ее
darkness
энергия.
is the energy of the Paramatma.
Эта
This
тьма не
darkness
влияет на Параматму, она
does
сама не
not
остается во тьме.
influence
Если я вхожу
Paramatma.
в
If
тело
I get
животного,
into the body
я
of
нахожусь
animal,
во тьме невежества. Параматма
Paramatma
находится
is right next
непосредственно
to me
рядом
in my
и не
heart,
находится
and
во тьме
it's
невежества. Она знает,
I'm
куда
in the
вести эту душу
darkness,
дальше.
but it doesn't.
Животное не знает ничего.
The animal
Просто
is
ест, спит, совокупляется,
has no
охраняется.
idea what
Понятия
to
не имеет
do, but eating,
об
sleeping,
этом, о
mating,
том, что происходит на самом деле. Но кто-то
fighting,
знает, что происходит на самом деле.
nothing
ведет
else.
дальше эту
But
душу,
someone
дальше,
knows,
для её
someone
блага.
leads this soul further and further.
Сознание Параматмы много что включает в себя. Но
Paramatma,
оно объясняет уже,
there's so
причину
much to
разнообразия
it,
этого мира.
and it explains the reason of this
И
variety.
тем не менее, Параматмы не
At
существует
the
в
same
духовном мире.
time, there is no Paramatma.
Там нет тьмы.
In the
Нет
spiritual
необходимости в
world,
локализованном
there is no
аспекте Бога.
need of these localized aspects of the Lord. In the
Это как
spiritual world,
отражение.
it's just a
Оно
reflection.
существует, пока есть поверхность
As long
отражающая.
as there's a reflective
Вы
surface,
выплескиваете карму свою.
it's
Нет
there.
отражения.
If there is no karma, no
Вы просто
reflection.
лично с Богом общаетесь.
You have
Зачем через отражение? Зачем через
the
телефон?
personality of Godhead
Зачем через
directly.
интернет?
Why do you need an internet? Why do you need some
Когда
mediator?
устранено это ослепительное сияние Брахмана и Параматмы.
But when there's an effulgence of Brahman and Paramatma,
Итак,
it's
Бхагаван,
different. So,
начинающий постигает
Brahman
Брахман,
is easy
Параматма,
for the
сверхдуша,
beginners.
доступный
Paramatma
духовно развитым
is for
людям уже.
those who are
Сознание
on the
Бхагавана
medium
является высшей
level,
ступенью постижения
and
абсолютной истины. Это подтверждается
Bhagavatam
в
is for
Бхагавад-гите
those who are
7.7.
on the highest
И
level.
Господь Кришна говорит, что Он высшее проявление абсолютной истины. Mattaḥ, parataraṁ, nānyat.
This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-gītā
Буквально,
7.7,
mattaḥ,
where Lord
parataraṁ,
Krishna
nānyat.
says that He is the ultimate concept of
Нет
the
истины
absolute
выше,
truth.
чем я. Он
Mattaḥ
говорит.
parataraṁ nānyat.
Нет
There
истины
is
выше
no
меня. Mattaḥ, parataraṁ, nānyat.
understanding beyond me.
Следовательно, Кришна является
Therefore, Krishna is the
источником и
source of the
брахма-джьоти, и
brahma-jyotir, as
всепроникающей
well as
Параматмы.
all-pervading Paramatma.
Далее в
Later in the
Бхагавад-гите
Bhagavad-gītā
10.42 Кришна
10.42,
говорит:
Krishna further explains,
Атхава бахунайтена ким гьятена таварджуна вишта бхяхам идам критснам экамшина стита джагат. Но зачем тебе, о Арджуна,
what need is there,
знать
Arjuna,
все эти
for all this
подробности?
detailed knowledge?
Одной своей
With a
частью
single
я
fragment of
пронизываю и
myself, I
поддерживаю всю Вселенную.
pervade and
Таким
support
образом,
this
с
entire
помощью
universe.
одной из своих
Thus,
полных частей,
by His one
всепроникающей
plenary
Параматмы,
expansion,
Господь
the
поддерживает
all-pervading Paramatma,
все
the Lord
материально-космическое
maintains
творение.
the complete
В духовном
material
мире
cosmic
все сущее
creation.
также
He
держится
also
на
maintains all
Господе.
manifestations in the
Поэтому в
spiritual
данной
world.
Шрути-мантре,
Therefore,
Ишапанишад,
in this
Господа
Shruti mantra
называют
of
Пушан,
Isopanishad, the Lord is addressed
это
as
значит
Pushan, the
поддерживающий
ultimate
все сущее.
maintainer.
Пушан. Шри Кришна, личность Бога, всегда исполнен трансцендентного блаженства. Ананда Май Бхьясат.
The personality of Godhead Sri
Когда
Krishna
5000
is
лет тому
always
назад
filled with transcendental
Кришна
bliss.
жил во Вриндаване,
Anandamaya Vyasat, when he was
он все
present
время
at
с самого
Vrindavan in
начала своих
India
игр
5,000 years
пребывал
ago, he
в
always
трансцендентном
remained in
блаженстве.
transcendental bliss.
Убийство различных
Even from the
демонов,
beginning
таких
of
как
his childhood
Акха,
pastimes,
Бака,
the
Путана,
killings of
Праламба,
various demons
было
such
для
as
него всего
Akha,
лишь
Baka,
приятным
Putana,
развлечением.
and Pralamba
Он
were
наслаждался со
but
своей матерью,
pleasure
братом и друзьями,
excursions for him.
живя в своей
In his
деревне.
village of Vrindavan, he enjoyed
Когда он
himself
играл
with
роль
his mother, brother, and friends, and
шаловливого
when he
мальчишки,
played the
воришки
role of a
масла,
naughty
все
butter
окружающие
thief,
испытывали небесное
all his
блаженство от
associates
его
enjoyed
проказ.
celestial bliss
Господа
by
называют
his
воришкой
stealing.
масла. Не для
The
того,
Lord's
чтобы
fame as a butter
упрекнуть
thief
его,
is not
поскольку, воруя
reproachable,
масло, он
for
одаривал
by stealing
своих
butter,
чистых преданных
the Lord
блаженством.
gave pleasure
Все,
to
что
his pure
Господь делал
devotees.
во Вриндаване, он
Everything the
делал
Lord
ради
did
того,
in
чтобы
Vrindavan
доставить
was for the
наслаждение
pleasure of his
окружающим его преданным.
associates there. The Lord
Господь явил
created these
свои
pastimes
игры, чтобы
to
привлечь к
attract
себе
the dry
внимание тех, кто
speculators
стремится найти
and the
абсолютную истину.
acrobats of the
Спекулятивных
so-called
философов
Hatha Yoga
и
system who wish to
акробатов,
find the
занимающихся
absolute
так
truth.
называемой хатха-йогой. Акробаты, Прабхупада говорит.
Prabhupada is calling them
Акробатики. Не думай, что это йога.
acrobats. They do it and
Ну,
they think it's yoga.
Что-то люди о йоге слышали,
Well,
это
people
привлекает.
heard something about
Интересно,
yoga
что
and they've
интерес к йоге
been
не
attracted
уменьшается,
to it.
увеличивается.
It's
Он
interesting
начался,
that
он
the tendency
какие-то
is
годы был,
growing.
кто помнит. Первый вышел
First
фильм,
movie
который потряс Советский
about
Союз,
yogis
«Индийские йоги, кто они?»
in the Soviet
Очень простой.
Union got on
Очень простой.
screen
Ничего там такого не было, слишком уж
back in the Soviet
запредельного.
days, and it shocked
Ну, показали Индию, показали
people
некоторые
the mystery
элементы
of
практики йогической,
yogis of
самовнушения,
India,
как говорилось.
and they were just
И
showing
чувство
some of
боли,
the
там, можно
things
воткнуть
that
тело
they were
носовой,
piercing in their
птицы,
bodies,
нет даже выделения крови. Когда
and
они
they
управляют
had
своей
no
тканью тела,
bleeding,
сосредотачиваются.
or they could concentrate their
Боже мой, весь
body and
ужас,
mind,
йога,
etc.,
йога,
etc.
йога.
And everybody was under
Потом стали
huge
писать книги
influence.
уже
People
в
started to
Советском
write
Союзе.
books.
Один из
In the
первых был
Soviet
Леви, такой,
Union,
потом стал
the first
известным.
one was Levi, was pretty
Он
famous,
называл аутотренинг.
and he called it
Практика аутотренинга, как внушать
ha-
самовнушение.
auto.
Мы тогда учились в
training.
школах, и мы уже практиковали
I
самовнушение.
was a schoolboy,
телепатия.
and I started to
А
practice
телепатию мы узнали из
telepathy.
запрещенной литературы.
path
И мы уже практиковали. Была
and
целая лаборатория школьная своя, неофициальная.
auto
И мы
training,
эти эксперименты ставили там еще.
and we were experimenting
9-10
while
класс.
I was in the 9th grade.
И все опыты у нас были
And
успешны.
All
Мы
we
могли передавать
did,
мысленное расстояние, делали такие.
we were
Практика
we
описывала,
had
как это делать.
success to it.
Это
We
все под
could read the
влиянием йоги
minds,
происходило.
etc., etc., etc. We were
Направление
heavily
мысли,
influenced
люди
by
начали
this
думать
yoga.
о тонком теле, о
And
психической
people,
энергии. Это было начало. И
back
очень-очень
those
медленно
days, they
это
were thinking
развивалось.
about
И
that
уже
and
в 80-х
developing
годах
bit by
была
bit.
организована
In the 80s, there was a
психофизическая
lab
лаборатория
created in
в
Moscow,
Москве под руководством академика
Psycho
Пушкина уже официально, но она была
physiology
засекречена,
lab,
так скажем, не открытая.
and it was
Но о
ran
ней
by
знали
one
все
professor.
в
It
Советском
was
Союзе, кто
secret,
занимался эзотерикой.
but everybody
Такая
knew
лаборатория, там
about
были
it.
эксперименты, и там же проводили
All
эксперименты над
who've been
мантрой.
engaged into this,
Эта листовка была
they knew
1982 года.
they were making
издания.
some
Я пришел в
experiments,
85-м, мы ее распространяли уже. так,
and
эту
they
листовку.
were also experimenting on mantras.
А мантре эксперименты, что там люди повторяли мантры,
People were
повторяли
chanting
какие-то другие
mantras and
звуки,
some other
и
random
наблюдали, что
sounds,
происходит с теми, кто
and
повторяет
they could see that
монотонно
those who've been chanting
различные звуки, и мантры в том числе. И
mantras,
мантра работала, остальные звуки тормозили просто сознание, ничего. Там не было никаких
it affected the
перемен
consciousness.
особых, кроме
The
торможения.
other sounds didn't.
Любой звук превращался в бессмыслицу, если
Any
долго его повторять одно
sound,
и то же.
random
Все
sound,
просто терял
you
смысл.
chant, you repeat,
Тормоз.
becomes a nonsense.
Термин
And
становился
you,
смешным просто. Но в
it's,
детстве так играли. Играли.
but
И
if you
любое
do
слово
the mantra, then
повторяйте, и
you
через
have an effect.
минуту буквально уже вам
Like
смешно,
we
что
had
странные буквы и звуки вообще.
in the
Очень
childhood,
странно. Попробуйте.
this game,
Только
we
без
would
чёток
get
попробуйте
some
так.
random word and repeat it
108 раз повторите, скажем, это
many
будет
times. Let's say you chant 108 times stool,
Вас
stool,
посчитают
or
сумасшедшим.
chair,
Близкие люди,
chair,
вы
and
сам
you
тоже
would
подумаете, что
just
это
laugh
стоит
at yourself
торможение наступает.
and
Притупление.
feel
Но
dull.
Харе Кришна мантра нет, этого не происходит.
But if you chant Hare Krishna mantra, repeat
Не
it,
происходит.
it's not
Можете сами
happening.
повторить Харе Кришна
You
мантру.
can chant it for
Происходит обратный
hours,
совершенно процесс просветления.
and more than that,
Движение,
you feel
притупление,
enlightened.
наоборот. И там есть исследования,
So they were studying it,
как дыхание меняется,
they were
состояние
checking
покоя,
on
главным образом это. И
how
выяснили,
your
что это
breath
состояние покоя
would be changed,
углубляется в
that
2 раза или
your
в 3,
breath becoming
чем
deeper.
глубокий сон.
And it would remind of a very
То есть это было удивительное открытие.
deep, a very
Что такое
fast
состояние покоя человек не испытывает
sleeping.
даже в глубоком сне. Здесь бодрствующий человек успокаивается в 2-3
It
раза
was
глубже, чем
astonishing that
глубоко спящий человек.
it was a
Смотрите,
daydreaming,
какой у вас идет поток энергии,
awakened
они говорят.
person
Какое идет самовосстановление. Время
would feel
повторения
so
мантры.
deep and
Потом эту
would feel
лабораторию успешно
recreated.
прикрыли,
And then this
быстренько
lab was
перевели на
closed.
засекреченный вариант. С тех пор они
We don't know what happened to it later.
Она работает.
It's still
Также там
working.
исследовали
And
пранаяму.
they were
Все эти йогические методы они изучали, вплоть до дуплекс-сферы.
testing pranayama.
Прикоснулся. Это был трактат ученых
I've seen one of
по
the
йоге именно. Они эту йогу брали, эти чакры.
works published.
Вот. Не обнародовали никогда.
It was not
в лаборатории изучал эти
publicly
вещи.
published by,
Открыли
but,
дуплекс-сферу.
I
Так они
could see
называли это
that.
открытие.
and they found a duplex
Человек,
sphere.
его тонкое устройство
The inner
отличается
world
от
of
физического
a human
устройства.
being is different from
Представляет
his
собой
exterior world, and
четвертое измерение.
it's
Выход в четвертое
the fourth
измерение. У
dimension.
каждого человека устроено
Everyone
тонкое тело с выходом в
has
четвертое
his
измерение. Назвали
softened body
дуплекс-сфера.
that is in the fourth
Что это
dimension, and it was
Это
called
лента
duplex
Мебиуса,
sphere.
с одной стороной, знаете, но объемная. Тор,
The
калач.
Tor,
Если его сжимать, он превращается в объем с одной стороной, с одной поверхностью.
if you
Там даже есть такое
squeeze
изображение. Такая груша с замкнутым пространством.
a certain thing,
Можете по ней
it
путешествовать
would
и
be
внутрь, и снаружи.
only
Но это
one-sided, but
объем.
there would be
Так,
still
этот
value,
с одной
volume to
стороной.
it.
Из нее есть выход изнутри наружу.
It's
и
like a
снаружи
volume
внутрь.
only on
Сознание
one
может
side.
выйти наружу, а может
You
войти
can
внутрь.
Put
Есть
your
точка выхода.
consciousness
Так они
in it,
обнаружили
and you
чисто вот
can pierce it
условно,
through.
математически.
Mathematically,
устройство человека.
they've
Дальше
established
этого не пошли, потому что нужна практика.
that
Она очень сложная.
there's something there, but they couldn't
То
go
есть это
beyond
всё,
because
йога навевала
there
все
was
эти вот
some
направления, мысли
practice
ученых,
required.
других.
And
И
scientists
в
and
очень скором
scholars,
времени люди
soon
стали
they,
говорить об
and even
измерениях.
people, they started to talk about dimensions,
Даже
even physical
физические измерения.
dimensions.
Что в одном измерении это вот так, в другом
One
измерении
dimension
по-другому.
is
Это все от этой как бы вот.
giving you this way,
линии.
another one is giving you another.
Итак, йога сыграла,
thing.
видите,
So yoga played a
огромную
big
роль.
role.
Но здесь Прабхупада говорит,
And
акробаты.
Prabhupada is just calling them
Они
acrobats,
все равно становятся акробатами.
They're
Они не знают,
becoming
как
just
практиковать йогу
acrobats.
со всеми этими вот,
nonsense acrobats.
терминами не могут разобраться, не
So
могут их
they
применить.
can't really
Потому
deal
что
with these
пока
terms,
человек не
apply or
овладел
utilize these
умом,
terms.
контролем ума, он не может
Unless you
йогу.
control your mind, you cannot
Просто
be a
акробат.
yogi. You would be just an acrobat.
Мгм. В Сримад Бхагаватам 10.12.11 Шукадева Госвами так
Of the
описывает
childhood
детские
play
игры
between the
Господа
Lord
и
and his
его
playmates.
людей-пастушков.
The cowherd boys,
Но это
Shukadeva
высшая
Goswami
йога.
says in Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 12, 11.
Она напоминает что-то земное. В нашем измерении тоже дети
It
играют.
reminds me of
И когда мы были
some
детьми, мы тоже
earthly
бегали,
things.
играли.
Children would just run
И вот,
around
говорится,
and
станьте как
play.
дети,
And it is
Но
said
сначала
that
нужно
we need to become
очиститься от греха.
like children. But first, we need to
Потом мы сможем
purify
играть.
ourselves. Then we will be able to play with Krishna in these games. The
Верховный
personality
Господь,
of
личность
Godhead,
Бога,
who is
которого гьяни
perceived as the
постигают как
impersonal,
безличный,
blissful
исполненный
Brahman
блаженство Брахман,
by the Gyanis, who is whispered, who is worshipped as the Supreme Lord by devotees in the mode of servitorship, and who is considered an ordinary human being by mundane people, played with the cowherd boys who had attained their position after accumulating many pious activities. This is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate truth of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can call the Lord in many different ways. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Creator of the universe. You can think of Him as of powerful personality with the or impersonal aspect, or you can talk about Him as if He was some historical person. Someone says that He's in the heart. There are many who think like that, but when He's home, at His home, people know Him as a friend, close friend, and as a cowherd boy. So, which definition should we choose? Our soul would choose the relationship with the personality of Godhead. Personality, a person needs a person. A personality chooses a personality. If we see some overwhelming personality, the envy of our ego wouldn't let us approach it. And if we approach it, we would just ask for things. But purified personality has no envy, and it prays, saying, Najanan, Nadhanan, Nasundarim, Jagadisha, Kamaya. I don't want anything from you but to serve you over and over in every life. This is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining, describing how those cowherd boys were playing with the Lord. They were free of envy. They get the body only to play with Krishna. Some get their bodies to play with Krishna. Some do it to give shade to the Lord. There are many forms, and perfect forms. In the material world, no one wants to be a tree. Spiritual world is not like this. Everything is spiritual. The Lord is always engaged in transcendental loving activities with His spiritual associates in the various relationships of Shanta, neutrality, Dasya, servitorship, Sakhya, friendship, Vatsalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love. Look closely. There's a description of different rasas, the relationship. None in the material world would classify it, even though it exists. Nobody even thinks it's a science. We have a father and mother, but no one sees it as a science. We fall in love, we get a family, and no one says it's a science. We only consider and treat gadgets and things. When we're dealing with some chemicals, we think it's a science. Life is not scientific. There is no belief. There is only these molecules and atoms. That's the science. Nowadays, when you talk about God, that is real science. The friendship, servitorship, conjugal love, parental affection, neutrality, these are This is the
Это есть суть
science.
жизни и смысл. Никто об этом
There
не
is a
говорит.
meaning to it. No one's talking about
Считается
it.
сентиментальным чем-то.
It is considered to be sentimental.
Друзья
We're
с Кришной,
friends
ну,
with
это сентиментально, это
Krishna.
чувственно. А где
This is
наука?
sentimentality.
За этим
Where's the
есть
science?
высочайшая
The
философия.
highest philosophy
Эта наука непреложна. Она
behind
нерушима.
it.
Весь мир держится на этом отражении
All world
этих
is
отношений.
based on this reflection.
Здесь то же самое есть. И дружба, и родительская
We have
любовь, и
friendship
любовь, и служение.
and
И без этого
servitorship
жизни не существует.
and
просто.
parental affection and neutrality.
Это стержень всего как бы мира.
This world
Есть
cannot
только одна
exist without
разница,
it.
что в этом стержне материальном вожделение
There is one
управляет, а
difference
там
to it
према, духовная
between the
энергия, чистая.
spiritual and material world. There's lust
Только в этом разница.
in the material world. That's the only difference.
Итак, нам даны эти отношения здесь,
So we
чтобы
have
также
this
могли приблизиться
relationship
к Богу,
here
выполняя свои обязанности
in order for
перед
us
друзьями, перед людьми, перед обычными
to
существами, перед супругами,
continue
перед
with our
детьми.
duties.
Это дхарма
This is called dharma,
для
in
очищения
order to
существ.
purify us.
Просто наслаждаться
Not
супружескими
just
отношениями или дружескими отношениями, или
enjoy
служением, или эксплуатацией служения.
all this
Недопустимо.
relationship.
Долг
There should be a
должен быть,
dharma to it.
который
the
очищает.
duty
И
that
очистившись полностью, мы
purifies
сможем
us.
понять, что такое
And
настоящий друг с
fulfilling the
Богом.
duty, we can understand. By
Всё очень
fulfilling it, we understand that what is real
В
relationship.
Писании сказано, что Господь никогда не покидает Вриндаван Дхаму.
Since it is said that Lord Kṛṣṇa never leaves Vrindavan Dharma, one may ask how he managed the affairs of the creation.
13, 14,
This is
15.
answered in Bhagavad-gītā 13,
Параматма,
14,
полная
18.
часть Господа,
The Lord
сверхдуша.
pervades the entire material
Пронизывает
creation by
все
his
материальное
plenary
творение.
part known as the
Сам Господь не
Paramatma or
принимает
Supersoul.
участия в созидании,
Although
сохранении
the Lord
и разрушении
personally
материального
has nothing
мира.
to do with material
Но в образе
creation,
своей полной экспансии
maintenance,
Параматмы
and
Он
destruction, he
является
causes
причиной
all
всего
these things to be done
происходящего в
by
мире.
his plenary expansion, the
Каждое живое
Paramatma.
существо является
Every
атомом,
living
душой,
entity is known
но
as Atma,
Параматма,
soul,
сверхдуша,
and the
это высшая
principal
атма,
Atma
который
who
управляет
controls
всеми
them all is
индивидуальными
Paramatma,
душами,
the Supersoul.
всеми одновременно.
It controls
Правда,
at the
трудно
same
представить.
time all of them,
Ну, что-то немножко надо представить хотя бы. Сколько
unimaginable.
душ есть вокруг нас, сколько.
Let's try
Сколько
to
живых существ
imagine
находится в
how
этом
many
помещении.
souls are there in this
Можете сосчитать?
room right now. We can
Людей
count
можно
some of the
сосчитать.
humans,
А живых
but we
существ не
can't
можем сосчитать,
count
сколько здесь находится.
all the
Они должны
living
как-то
beings.
какое-то руководство иметь, как вы думаете? Не то, что не так, анархия полная.
It's not
А мы
an
самые
anarchy
несчастные у нас тут.
here.
Организация,
Everything is
руководство,
organized. We
долг, а у
think
них
only
свобода
we
полная.
are organized. The rest are just
Нет,
in
они
order.
под
No,
полным
no,
контролем,
everything
большим
is under
контролем.
control.
Сколько тут микроорганизмов, тонких существ, в других
Microorganisms
измерениях, тут
and
полно народу вообще.
those fine creatures.
В других измерениях мы не знаем, сколько этих
And
измерений.
what about
Чего только
other
нет вообще
dimensions?
поэтому. Для
We
нас
don't
это
know
просто
how
вот
many
помещение, где мы
dimensions
уединились.
to this place.
Никто нам не мешает, ни
It seems
микробы,
like
ни духи злые,
no
ни
one
добрые.
is
Ни полуботы не
interfering with
заглядывают сюда,
us.
верно же?
No
Нет,
bad
чувствуя
or
солнце,
good spirits,
глаз
and
ван, видите, смотрит.
neither
Воздухом
something
дышим.
else. We have
Вайю
vayu,
здесь
we're breathing with
Так ли?
the air,
Даже
we
в наших
have
ранах
this
присутствует.
prana.
Даже
Even
в
in
нашем
our
уме присутствуют эти
mind,
духовные энергии. Но мы
there
не
is some
видим этого.
energies flowing that we don't see.
Итак, очень много живых существ.
So
и все
many,
это под
many
управлением
creatures are
связано.
there, and
М.
all of them are connected.
Мы
We
даже
don't
не
even
замечаем, что
notice,
когда мы живем в
living
этом
in
мире, мы
this world,
пользуемся так
We're using
многими
so
вещами.
many energies, so many things.
Просто пользуемся.
We're
не
just
замечаем.
users,
Что
unconscious,
дает нам эту возможность.
and someone is giving us this chance to use this.
Итак, Параматма в высшем смысле, да,
Paramatma
вот управляет всем этим, дает нам
is
эту
giving us
возможность
this
материального существования,
possibility
создавая, формируя
by
этот мир,
creating this
и
world
все эти устанавливая
and
отношения.
establishing all the relationship between all the living beings. And we enter this world
Рождаемся.
already. We get birth.
Этот метод
This
постижения
system of
Бога —
God
великая наука.
realization is a great science.
Приверженцы
The
материалистической
materialistic Sankhya
Санkhya-йоги
yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation, for they have very little information on Purusha, the Lord. And the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the brahma-jyotir. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. So we need to get through all these, penetrate beyond the 24 material elements. What does it mean? We need to detach our feelings from the objects. We feel everything. We feel matter, we feel body, and through the body we feel a lot. And these feelings is gravitating us to this mundane world. It's just like gravitation in this world. It attaches us, leading us on this path of sense gratification. So we need to penetrate beyond these material elements. And this great science is there. The science of Krishna consciousness. Ishapanishad points towards this direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranyamaya Partha, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed, so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead, factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. Unless you have material desires, or your bhakti is undeveloped, this covering will be there. It will divide the soul from the Lord. The Lord will not appear to those who are not engaged in devotional service. Maximum, you can reach the Brahman. But if you have desire to get bhakti relationship, then by means of prayer, you can address to the Lord, because you cannot get there otherwise. Only through these processes of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Atmanivedanam, you need to hear about the Lord, you need to talk about Him, you need to be friends with Him, you need to pray Him, you need to offer prayers with reverence and bow down. And when you're pure, it works. When your heart is not pure, it works, but it's not as instant, and you ask and you get what you want. First, we separate those material desires from our sincere spiritual desire. Then Bhakti Yoga works. If we have material desires, then Karma Yoga is there, and Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga is there. Complicated processes. Material desires complicate all this. And the main material desire is fame. That's why we're taking this complicated path. Trinata Sunichi now, Hare Krishna mantra, is too easy. This way you're gonna show that you're weak. That's why you cannot get fame. You need to walk your own path, they say. You need to be glorious. That's why they're choosing this complicated path. For those who are not looking for any fame or followers or money, they're fine. And this prayer is telling us, please take away this effulgence,
аспект
so I can see your
личности Бога —
face.
это одно из
Paramatma,
трех его полных
the
экспансий.
Paramatma
Одна.
feature of the personality
Или
of Godhead, is
Вишну-татв,
one of the three
называемых
plenary expressions of Vishnu Tattvas,
Пуруша-аватарами.
collectively known as
Вишну-татва,
Purusha
находящаяся
avatars.
внутри Вселенной, носит имя
One of these
Кширдакашая
Vishnu
Вишну.
Tattvas who is within
Именно
the
этот
universe is
Вишну
known as
является одним из
Kṣirdakashaya
трех
Vishnu.
главных божеств Вселенной —
He
Брахмы, Вишну
is
и
the
Шивы.
Vishnu among the three principal
Он
deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva,
всепроникающая Параматма,
and he is the
душа,
all-pervading
пребывающая в сердце
Paramatma
каждого
in
живого
each
существа.
and every individual living
Вторая
entity.
Вишну-татва
The second Vishnu
Вселенной —
Tattva
это
within the universe
Гарбхадакашая
is
Вишну,
Garbhadakashaya Vishnu,
единая
the
суть душа
collective
всех
supersoul
живых
of all
существ,
living entities.
одна,
Beyond these two
единая. Над
is
ним стоит
Karnakashaya Vishnu,
Каранадакашая Вишну,
who lies
возлежащий в
in the
причинном океане.
causal
Он является Творцом
ocean.
всех вселенных.
He is the creator of all
Серьезные
universes.
последователи системы
The
йоги
yoga system
могут с его
teachers, the
помощью
serious
выйти
student,
за пределы сферы
to meet the
24
Vishnu Tattvas after
элементов
going beyond the
мироздания
24
и
material
непосредственно
elements of
увидеть
the cosmic
этих
creation.
Вишну-татв.
The culture of empiric
Если мы
philosophy
чувство
helps
оторвем
one
от
realize
чувств,
the
мы должны что-то
impersonal
чувствовать, не так ли?
brahma-jyotir.
Вот тогда мы
When we
сможем воспринимать
detach our feelings from the
Сверху.
objects of feelings, then we feel the
Изучение
Supersoul.
эмпирической философии помогает осознать безличное брахма-джьоти, которое
That
представляет
the
собой
brahma-jyoti
ослепительное
is Krishna's
сияние
effulgence is
трансцендентного тела
confirmed in the
Господа Шри
Bhagavad-gītā
Кришны.
14.27 as
То,
well
что
as the
брахма-джьоти —
Brahma
это
Samhita
сияние, исходящее от
540.
Кришны, подтверждается в таких ведических писаниях, как Бхагavad-гītā 14.27 и Брахма-самхите 5.40. Яся праба прабхавато джагат андакоти катиш ашиша васутади випути пинам тад брахма нишкалам анантам ашиша бхутам гавиндам адипурушам тамахам баджами. В
In
миллионах
the
и миллионах
millions and
вселенных
millions of
находятся
universes, there
бесчисленные
are
планеты,
innumerable planets,
на каждой из
and
которых
each
уникальные
planet
условия жизни.
and every
И все
one
эти
of them
планеты
is different from
расположены
the others by
в
its
одном
cosmic
уголке
constitution.
Брахма-джьоти.
All of
Это
these planets
Брахма-джьоти
are
является
situated in a corner
излучением
of the
Верховной
Brahma-jyoti.
Личности
The
Бога
Brahma-jyoti
Говинды, которому
is
я
but the personal
поклоняюсь.
rays of the Supreme
В
Personality of
этой мантре
Godhead, Govinda,
Брахма-самхите
whom I
отражено
worship.
зрелое понимание абсолютной
This mantra
истины.
from the Brahma Samhita is spoken
Обсуждаемый
from the
нами
platform
Шрути
of
мантре
factual realization of
Ишапанишад
the Absolute Truth
описана
and the
промежуточная
Shruti mantra of the
ступень на
Ishapanishad,
пути к более
and the
глубокому
discussion
пониманию.
confirms this mantra as a process of realization. The Ishapanishad Mantra is a simple prayer to the Lord to remove the Brahma-jyotir so that one can see his real face. His Brahma-jyoti effulgence is described in detail in several mantras of Mundaka Upanishad. We're gonna stop here, and next time we're gonna continue reading the Purport.
Пока вот на этом остановимся, на том, что
That's enough so far.
это промежуточная ступень на пути к
That's
более
the
глубокому
middle
пониманию.
step on the
Более
way
глубокое
to this
понимание
deeper
придет, когда мы
realization
сможем уже лично служить
when we
Верховной
serve
Личности Бога.
the Lord
Более глубокое
in
понимание.
person. We get this
Здесь
deeper
промежуточное понимание.
realization,
Как войти вот
and
в
that's
эту сферу
just
отношений.
a description of how
Нужно
we
устранить
enter.
еще ослепительное сияние, которое
Yes, we need
является
to get
целью
rid of this
целью
blinding effulgence.
гьяни, высшей целью
The
гьяни.
highest goal of Gyanis.
Кто-то хочет раствориться в Брахмане,
Someone wants
считая, что это
to
высшая
merge
цель,
into
Бхагавад-гītā,
Brahman, but
промежуточная
Srila Prabhupada
ступень
is saying this is just
всего лишь.
another
Хорошо?
step on the
Есть ли у нас в
way.
эфире вопросы?
Do we have any questions? Yeah, we do. Can we say that Krishna is talking to me through everything that is surrounding me, not only spiritual, but material as well? If you're Krishna conscious, yes, then yes.
Если
If
нет,
not,
то эти
then all
материальные
these material
впечатления и
imprints
предметы, которые нас окружают,
surrounding you would bewilder
повлияют на ум,
you.
и
It would
ум
influence
начнет
your
что-то
mind, your
придумывать,
brain, and
воображать
your brain would
и собьет с толку.
start to
Что Кришна
making
хочет.
fantasies. And you would
Я уже
think
споткнулся, допустим,
what
в
Krishna
прошлом,
wants.
сказать мне этим. И на каждом шагу буду искать какие-то
If
обозначения, какие-то
I
смыслы.
have something on my way, I would always think what Krishna wants, and I would go nuts. It should not come off our mind, but from our consciousness. And if we are Krishna conscious, then it's possible. How do I realize my relationship with the Lord? What should I be keeping in mind? Well, the principles of this relationship is the service, the main principle. If you want to start your relationship with the Lord, you can only start it through the rendering service, not through some addressing Him, not through your activity to break through, but the service. So that's the scheme. If you want to start your service, it's not that easy because your mind is conditioned and he rejects to think of himself to be a servant. He can imitate something. He can imitate the qualities of humbleness, and he can imitate the ecstasy, bhakti yoga practice, everything. But if we do want to be engaged in this service, we need to find a person who is already engaged in this kind of a service, and then we can get his mindset. That's all questions. Okay, do we have questions in the audience? What is the difference if we serve the devotees or serve the deities? There is no... If we serve deities or the Lord, there is no difference. If we chant mantra, it's the same. If we cook the prasadam, it's the same. It's not a ritual activity that leads us to the devotional service. It is the devotional service. It is Krishna himself. It's a question of consciousness. There is an opinion that Srila Prabhupada's method is not enough to be Krishna conscious, to reach the God. We need something else to enhance. Some kind of yoga requires. Why do we need to listen to this nonsense? What method is offered then? If it's not enough, then what is enough? They say we need some yoga. This is craziness. The one who is not reading Srila Prabhupada's books can say this. He's crazy. What austerities you can go through, what yoga you can go through. You can just be an acrobat. Only crazy person can say it. He either didn't read Prabhupada's books at all, or he was committing some offenses, so he cannot understand these things. Prabhupada is saying how we can approach Krishna. The rest is given by Krishna. Spiritual teacher is not God. Don't think that he's given you all. He's given you all the energies, and Shakti, and Bhakti, and Rasa this, Rasa that. Only crazy person can think that. Guru is given the path, the method, and you approach to Krishna, and Krishna is rewarding you with Svarup or
Как в этом могут помочь аскезы, не понимаю.
How come some austerities can help you in this way, or some mystical tricks? Stop listening to this nonsense. Okay, if you think that things influence you, then you need a good sadhana. Sometimes they don't read books and their sadhana is not good, and he's not questioning anyone. But then he's looking for someone to drag him into the spiritual world. He's like going to one representative, then to another one, and then he finds some guy who is offending all around, and he's listening to all this nonsense from random people. You need just to follow the authoritative method, and you will become independent person. We've heard that Prabhupada didn't give us Shuddha Bhakti, just sadhana. Did you read the books by Prabhupada? It seems like you did not. Even the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion, you didn't read, if you think this way. You didn't read Chaitanya Charitamrita with the Purport by Srila Prabhupada. That's why you can have these odd thoughts. And reading once is not enough, you need to study it. It can be said only by those who are envious. Because it's so offensive. Any other questions? You've been talking about Paramatma. Can you illustrate it a bit, how the Paramatma is being revealed in our life? Even though it's unseen. You want me to show you Paramatma, right? Well, look here. It's there. It's here. Or what is your question? No, well, I want to know how is it being revealed. Well, this is how it reveals. Did you see yourself in the mirror? How did you grow into this? How did you grow into this? Did you do it by your own? Paramatma did it. This is how you see Paramatma. Someone did it, right? Yes, and? I got another question. Oh, you got it already? Oh, yes. Oh, okay.
Какие личности?
Talking about atheists or those who doubt, how do they approach the Lord? There are some noble souls that might look like atheists. They could be educated or brought up as atheists, or their surroundings is atheistic. That's why they're this way. Just like when I was in school and I was asked, who are you? I would say, I'm atheist. That was considered to be the highest position in the world. And I would say I'm atheist. It doesn't mean anything because you just copycat your surrounding, but you don't know yourself. If someone says, I am atheist, but I am interested in self-realization, that would be not real 100% atheist. And there are millions of people like this. Just like this. No, I don't trust religion, it's not interesting, but I would like to know things about myself. Those are normal, noble souls. They will be able to understand Krishna consciousness. Atheism is a delicate thing. When you deal with atheists, it's a science. You can talk with atheists about the absolute truth because he is a scientist. And he would have this term, he would operate this term, absolute truth, but he cannot give any proofs. So that's why he's like an agnostic. That's why he's not accepting it. And Prabhupada was talking to these kind of people. There's a discussion in the self-realization book, and Srila Prabhupada was telling to that guy who was calling himself a doctor, who was calling himself the atheist. But the product of atheism is something else. It's Gitanism. It's called bhogis. That I would like to enjoy my life. They say, there is no God, I just want to enjoy. They are bhogis. They are not scientists. There are rogis and bhogis and yogis and karmis. Those are bhogis. These guys are just dull because of the self-gratifications. But if you give them some prasadam, they would feel something and realize something. So they require some mercy because they cannot think freely. But they are innocent. They have been brought up innocent. It's not their mindset, it's just their surroundings. So when a person is, when he's not satisfied by the living conditions, you can easily preach him and talk to him. I don't know who is satisfied nowadays. We didn't see it in Russia or Kazakhstan. Maybe in Ukraine there are some people who are satisfied. No. I've seen one guy on the Shikatan. He's living alone on these islands, Kuril Islands, and he enjoys the nature and he's so joyful. No civilization, the ocean is all around. He was happy. One person was found like that. But the civilization brings the unsatisfaction quickly. What is the ultimate goal of studies? Like as a principle, you can apply Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan everywhere. First Sambandha, then Abhideya, then Prayojan. And what is the ultimate goal of any science? Can it be Krishna? Yes, we can take it as it is, Sambandha and Abhidya and Prayojan. If a mathematician will find himself in these numbers he's studying, that would be his Sambandha and Abhidya and Prayojan, if he would be able to find himself on these coordinates. If he's just playing with numbers, this is just the Shudra skills, a robot. I've heard there is an interconnection between humanitarian science and precise science. Yes, it's connected. Chemistry, for example, the chemical processes, when you're excited, your chemical processes are different in your body. And when you chant and dance, your processes are different. That's what they come into. They understand that living being is, there's an interconnection between these sciences like chemistry and stuff. This suffering is pointing them which direction to go. They study the math, but they suffer in their day-to-day life and family life. This is crazy. The smart and intelligent and educated, crazy people, you need to bring up at least one decent man, and you can't if you're scientists and your kids, your children are just like cats and dogs. Where's your science then? So they all bewildered, and what they consider to be the science is just some skills or technology. Science is taking you to the place where you don't suffer. You have the right relationship. That's the first part of the science, Sambandha. And then from that place you can think you're walking the scientific path. If you are a friend with equals and you help the younger one and you serve the seniors, then your science starts. Otherwise, if you get into your numbers, you dive into it. It's just like you dive into alcohol. You dive out of your suffering in the world. Don't dive away from your life. This is the way scientists went away from their lives. They are suffering. And Prabhupada said, he put it very easy. What can they do with their birth and old age and disease and death? They cannot fix any of these problems, those scientists. The science of devotional service is the highest science. And there are some sciences, there is some knowledge that leads you to this direction. There are many different definitions regarding the reason why the jivas are here in the material world. Some say that they want to enjoy separately from the Lord. And how is it fun to enjoy separately from Krishna. Could you please explain it? No one knows. Why do they talk so much about these things? We can't really understand these things. Don't you see? This is an eternal question. Guru Tattva, Shiva Tattva, the Jiva fall to this material world. We can really understand these topics. If we argue about this, Rupa Goswami is saying if you argue about it, about things we cannot perceive, the result of it would be our sins and anarthas, upbringing and development. We should not argue about these things. We don't know it. How people would know about it? They just speculating about it. How do you know it for sure? You need to face the Lord directly, and then you learn personally. Krishna will respond. What was your fault? He would be very merciful talking to you, and this way our love would multiply, because it's Krishna. No second thoughts he has. There's no need of these arguments in this world. I don't really, I'm not interested in discussing these topics personally, because it's another dimension. Talking about spiritual world, we can't really talk about it because we don't have such an envy here in this world. There's one fact we know for sure: we have left the world of Krishna, and we are here. It's late to think about it now. It's someone's got shot by an arrow. His problem is not the person who did this. You tell him, go and find him and find his weapons, what was his tools he was using, but you got shot. That's your problem right now. You need to get rid of your problem. This illusion, this ignorance. So try to be more humble about these questions. When I was a schoolboy, my physics teacher said that you cannot produce the eternal motor. And you know what they started to do? They started to try to invent this eternal motor. I will try. You can try. You would face the same dead end. On the material platform, there's no answer for this question, because it's not a material cause. There's no material cause to it. You will not find why the answer, why the Jiva got here. On the spiritual level, you will find your manual, your documents, the files about you. Guru Maharaj, you said the Paramatma is very powerful, and I realized that if someone is attached to some addiction, like alcohol, it's Paramatma. Is it Paramatma influence? Well, Paramatma is allowing someone to become a draghi or an alcoholic, but it doesn't mean the Paramatma is becoming one. If Paramatma is allowing you to do something, it doesn't mean that Paramatma is doing it. It doesn't mean that Paramatma is it. If Paramatma is allowing you to become a pig, it doesn't mean Paramatma is a pig. You need to realize these things. Is that a question? No. It's understood that Paramatma is not becoming one. But somehow, Paramatma is leading us. It leads us, yes. And I'm not talking about that if I see myself in the mirror and I see what I see, if it's leading, there is a misunderstanding here. If it's leading, it doesn't mean that it's acting. It leads me to where I want to go, according to my karma and desires. There is no interference. I'm the doer. I want to leave this room. Someone would say, there's a door, it's Paramatma, and I go there because I want to go there. Where's the exit? Oh, thank you. And he goes. Who did it? The one who is pointing at the door or the one who walks out the room? There's a big difference. So this world is created by us. We create this material world. The reason is in me, but the creator is not me. The creator of this body is not me. I am the reason for this body. My deeds in the past is the reason I have this body. But to create it, it's only possible to Paramatma, to offer us this world of parents, only the Lord. But the reason I have these bodies, because I have these desires. Karma is also my desires. Bad desires, good desires become in my karma. That's why my body is a blend of something I wish for and something I don't wish for. Sometimes I feel satisfied with my body and sometimes I'm not. I would like to have my health enhanced or something else. My desires, some of my desires prevent my other desires to enjoy this body. So the reason of the formation of this body is my desires. But what's going on in this body? How is it being? How is it growing or developing? I am just the one to place the order, and there is a contractor doing it, fulfilling my desires. Eko bahunam. Only one living being can fulfill the desires of numerous living beings. If I have my body that is undeveloped, then your order that you placed was not perfect. As a constructor, the God gives you the perfect product. The ones who order things, he was not perfect. That's the difference between us and God. All our material existence is screaming, I am not God. life after life after life, we need to be more situated in this knowledge that there is a difference between me and God. And in the end, we understand why Krishna should be our ultimate goal, and then we go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you.
Кого еще? Ты уже задавал вопрос? Кто не задавал вопрос?
So if you're saying that the soul is the one who places the order, then who is allowing things to happen? Paramatma does. Why are you feel bewildered? The desires of the living being, is it Paramatma? But what we have is our desires, the result of our desires. What is the problem? Who is the customer and who is the contractor? If you have your own desires, then you place the order. Probably you don't understand the terminology. Sanction, to give a sanction, means to allow myself to do something. And Supersoul is not dealing with you in this way, does not prevent you from desiring things. But if I want something, then I need some energies, I need some supplies, whatever, and I require permission from Paramatma. Paramatma is looking at my karma and says, you want this? Okay, not right now. So you don't have the permission. It seems like you have the desire, but then you are not inspired to do it, or you have inspiration, but still you have some obstacles. Or you go and everything's fine, but then I'm cheated. Where's Paramatma looking? Paramatma is there, but it is providing us with the karma we have. But if we have enough of this good karma, then it would say, yeah, you have enough, but you can use, and that would be all you have to fulfill your desire. But you won't be happy in the end. And you do it, you get what you wanted, and you're not happy. You wasted your good karma. But this is what sanction means. Allowance. And the desires that you don't have enough karma for fulfilling, they're in the queue, standing in the line. When you get new birth, or when you try to enjoy sense gratification, this is how you get the karma. But if you act in Krishna consciousness, that would mean you're not attached. And you enjoy, then new karma is not coming there. But if you try to enjoy your karma, you get new one, because you try to hide away the things you appreciate, you try to prevent yourself from things. If you go against your destiny, you spoil your existence. The devotee is always happy because he is engaged in devotional service. Bad times, good times, this is how karma goes away. Pretty fast.
Не так уж долго.
It seems like I understand I'm not God, but when my phone breaks down, I feel I'm nervous, so I still have the desire to become God or become a controller. No, it's your desire to have a high-end smartphone. The desire to become God will come if you get siddhas and knowledge, great knowledge, then it will be revealed. Otherwise, it's just you want a sophisticated phone, some sophisticated toys. But when you get siddhas, then you need to be careful.